Hi, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jerry Eisenband, Communications for SFWMD, and I'm here today with our Chief Operations Engineer, John Mitnik, and he's going to take us through the 16 counties of the South Florida Water Management District, which extends all the way from Orlando down to the Keys. In May, if you're not familiar with the situation, we had a 300% increase in rainfall over the 16 counties. This led to really high water levels. Our water conservation areas were extremely full, and on June 1st, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers began discharging releases to the St. Lucie estuary and also the Caloosahatchee estuary to combat the 1-foot increase in Lake Okeechobee. So with that, the schedule has changed for this emergency high water. Governor Rick Scott's direction, Florida Department of Environmental Protection issued us an emergency order, and that basically kept our pumps moving and amended our operations a little. So here to talk about what the current situation is, John.
So as you said, Jerry, and some of the things that we've talked about in our other video updates that we've done over the past 3 weeks or so, is we're continuing to try to move water out of the 3 conservation areas, move that off to tide to get it out of the system, to be able to start making room for that lake water to start moving south down through the system. 2 of the, I guess, noteworthy events that have occurred over the past week since our last video update was down here in the southern part of the system. We recently got permission from the Fish and Wildlife Service and the Corps of Engineers to be able to open up one of the structures that is over in this area on the western side of Conservation Area 3. So we implemented those operations starting Sunday morning. We're able to open that structure, start moving some of that water out of Conservation Area 3. In addition to that, also Sunday morning, we were able to raise the stage in this canal right here that feeds water into Everglades National Park, into Northeast Shark River Slough. So both of those actions occurred just recently, and we started implementing those operations over the weekend. So now we're able to move at least a little bit more water out of Conservation Area 3 down through the system. And what that has done in terms of the conservation area itself as a whole is you'll see that a lot of the water levels within the conservation area have somewhat stabilized. In other words, they're not continuing to increase as they were before. So we've gotten a little bit more control over this area, and hopefully we'll start seeing a little bit more of a recession, getting back down to where we would expect them to be for this time of year.
Wow, that is obviously making a big difference, and the temporary pumps and our regular operations are running 24/7 to try helping out with this.
Correct. We have got a number of places where we've got some temporary pumps. We've got some temporary pumps in this location up here, moving water from 2A into the Conservation Area 1. We've got some temporary pumps in the southern part of the system, and as I talked about, those pumps that we'll have over here on the western side as well.
And this was all spawned by, obviously, the governor's direction and Florida Department of Environmental Protection's emergency order, because we couldn't issue those temporary pumps in those locations without it, right?
Correct. With the execution of the emergency order by the department, it allowed us that ability to implement some of these newer operations and deploy those pumps in those various locations.
Wow. That's great, and thank you for this update, John. We're going to come at you every week with more information when we amend updates, so please check out our website, sfwmd.gov/managing high water. John, thank you so much for your time today. Stay tuned right after this. We're going to have an operations update also from Tom DeBold. He's our field operations chief, and he's going to be down at the L39. He's going to be talking about that temporary pump that John just alluded to. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
The emergency temporary pumps behind us are moving water from Conservation Area 2 to Conservation Area 1 and then immediately to tide through the Hillsborough Canal. These pumps increase the storage capacity to the south, which allows even further water to be moved south given the current wet conditions. Behind us here, this is the S39 structure. This releases water from Water Conservation Area 1, also known as the Arthur Marshall Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. The water then flows east through the Hillsborough Canal to tide.